I still remember the sound of the front door closing that afternoon. Click, just like that. I was 11 years old, standing barefoot in the living room, staring at the $20 bill my mother had pressed into my hand like it was supposed to mean something. "Good, Sarah. We'll be back soon," she said, not even looking me in the eyes. My father didn't say anything at all. He just adjusted his sunglasses and walked out behind her. The car engine started. Tires rolled over the gravel. And then silence. I was alone, not for an hour, not for a night, for days. At 11, I didn't fully understand what abandonment meant. I thought maybe they were testing me. Maybe this was some weird grown-up game to teach me responsibility. I waited by the window the first evening, clutching that $20 bill until it became soft and wrinkled in my small fist. I kept telling myself they'd come back any minute with ice cream or a new toy, laughing about how scared I looked. But they didn't come back that night, or the next. By the third day, the milk in the fridge had gone sour. I ran out of bread. The house felt bigger, colder, and darker than it ever had. Every creak made my heart jump. I slept with all the lights on, curled up under my favorite blanket, whispering to myself, "They're coming back. They have to come back." I was just a little girl. I had no phone, no way to reach anyone. Our neighbors barely knew us because my parents liked keeping to themselves. I was too afraid to knock on strangers' doors, so I did what I could with that $20. I walked 2 miles to the small grocery store, carefully counting every penny. I bought rice, beans, a few cans of tuna, apples, and a big jar of peanut butter. The cashier, an older woman, looked at me strangely. "Where's your mom, sweetheart?" I forced a smile. "She's at home. She's sick." She didn't look convinced, but she let me go. That week I learned how to cook rice on the stove without burning the house down. I rationed my food like a soldier. I cried myself to sleep almost every night, but during the day I tried to stay strong. I cleaned the house so when they returned, they'd see I was a good girl. I even drew them a welcome home picture and taped it to the fridge. On day 9, something inside me started to change. The fear slowly turned into anger. A quiet, burning anger. Why would they do this to me? What had I done wrong? I was their daughter, their only child. Didn't they love me? On the 12th day, I heard the car pull into the driveway. My heart exploded in my chest. I ran to the door, ready to cry, ready to hug them, ready to beg them never to leave me again. But when my mother stepped inside and saw me standing there, thin, tired, but alive, her face twisted in complete shock. Her eyes widened. She dropped her designer bag on the floor. "Sarah," she whispered, her voice cracking. That was the moment everything shifted. My mother's scream wasn't out of joy. It was pure disbelief. She looked around the house. Everything was spotless. The dishes were washed. My little survival meals were neatly organized in the kitchen. The welcome home sign was still on the fridge. My father stood behind her, frozen. For once he had nothing to say. What happened here?" Mom asked, her voice shaking. "How are you still here? How did you?" "I survived," I said quietly. My voice sounded older than 11. "With the $20 you left me." Silence that followed was heavier than any scream. It had been gone for 12 days. 12 days. They later tried to explain it as some kind of couple's retreat they desperately needed. They said they thought our neighbor would check on me. They claimed they left more money hidden somewhere. Lies, all of it. I found out the truth weeks later from a conversation I overheard. They had been planning that trip for months. They knew exactly what they were doing. They just didn't want a child slowing them down. The betrayal cut deeper than any knife. From that day forward, our house became a battlefield of fake apologies and guilty gifts. New dolls, new dresses, ice cream every night. But I could see it in their eyes. They were scared of me now. Scared of what I had become while they were gone. I stopped being their little princess. I became quiet, watchful. I started writing everything down in a secret notebook. Every promise they broke. Every time they whispered about me when they thought I was sleeping. Every time my mother looked at me with that mix of guilt and irritation. By the time I turned 13, I had changed completely. I studied harder than any kid in my class. I learned how to use the library computers. I read books about psychology, survival, and even basic finance. I wanted to understand how people could be so cruel to their own blood. My parents thought the incident was behind us. They believed their expensive gifts and occasional family trips had fixed everything. They were wrong. I was no longer the scared little girl they left behind. I was planning. I started small. I saved every bit of allowance they gave me. I learned how to sell my old toys online using a neighbor's account. I built a small secret fund. I made friends with teachers who noticed I was different, quieter, more mature. But the real turning point came when I was 15. I discovered the life insurance policy. My parents had taken one out on me when I was born, a big one, and I found emails where they discussed, what if something happened to Sarah, in ways that made my blood run cold. They weren't planning anything evil, but the way they talked about me, like I was a burden with a payout, shattered whatever love I had left. That's when my pain turned into something colder, something calculated. At 17, I was ready. I had graduated high school early. I had a full scholarship to a good university, but more importantly, I had evidence. Years of journals, screenshots, recorded conversations I secretly took on my old phone. I waited for the perfect moment. It was my mother's 45th birthday party, all her friends, family members, the expensive catering, the perfect Instagram life on full display. I stood up during her toast, holding a small envelope. "Mom," I said sweetly, "I have a special gift for you, something I've been working on for years." The room went quiet as I handed her the envelope. Inside were printed screenshots of her emails, pages from my childhood journal describing the 12 days I was abandoned, bank statements showing how they used my child support money for their vacations while I ate rice and beans, even a copy of the life insurance policy with their disturbing notes highlighted. My mother's face went white. The guests started whispering. "I was 11, I said, my voice steady but emotional. "You left me with $20 and walked away for 12 days. I survived. I learned how to be strong without you, and now I'm choosing to walk away too." I looked straight at her. "But before I go, I want you to feel, even for 1 minute, what I felt every single night I waited for you." My father tried to speak, but I raised my hand. "I'm not pressing charges. I'm not screaming. I'm simply exposing the truth, because some things can't stay hidden forever." I walked out of that party with my head high. Behind me, I could hear my mother sobbing. Not the fake tears she used on me for years, real broken sobs. I moved out the next week. The scholarship became my new beginning. I built a career helping young girls who felt abandoned and powerless. I turned my pain into purpose. Years later, my mother tried to reach out. She sent long messages about regret and wanting to make amends. I read every single one. But some wounds run too deep to reopen. I replied only once. "I survived because I had to, not because you gave me a chance. I hope you find peace. I already have." Today, I'm 28. I have a beautiful life I built with my own hands. I have friends who became my real family. And sometimes, late at night, I still think about that 11-year-old girl standing at the window, waiting for parents who never really came back. She didn't just survive. She became unstoppable. And that is the greatest revenge of all. If you're watching this and you've ever been abandoned, betrayed, or left behind by the people who were supposed to love you most, hear me clearly. Your pain does not define you. It refines you. Use it. Turn it into fuel. Build the life they never thought you could have. The strongest women aren't born from easy childhoods. They're forged in silence, hunger, and heartbreak. You are not alone, and your comeback story, it's going to shock everyone.